This is not a normal podcast. Look around. We're on an island in the James River in downtown Richmond. Sharps Island, it's called. People camp here, fish here, party here. For over 200 years, Richmonders have built structures on this island. Inevitably, those structures were washed away, but the Richmonders, like myself, keep coming back, keep building, trying to gain a foothold. Why? For us, the water that surrounds Sharps Island isn't a barrier, it's a threshold, a doorway to a magical place. This acre of rock and sand surrounded by the city, yet somehow completely secluded. On this podcast, our guests have to get in the boat and leave the world behind. I hope you'll come with them.
Arriving in style. Woo. Hello. Thank you. Hi, I'm Maeve.
Maeve, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, we did it. Boom.
Yay.
The entire executive staff of the Poe Museum on Sharps Island. There is, we can just leave the life jackets in there if you want, or
Yeah.
what is this? All right, we did it, welcome.
Great, thank you. Thanks so much for
Yeah, this
having
is
us.
exciting. But you've been here before, right?
I've been here once.
Okay.
I think it was a Richmond grid party. Andrew Alli was playing.
Yeah, it was, so myself, Paul Spicer, and
Yeah.
one other guy whose daughter is named Maeve. That's the only other Maeve I know.
I remember that, yeah.
It was this True Places, like we got these artists to all kind of paint outdoor
Yes.
scenes, and like Ed Trask and a bunch of other people were here. It was almost like a gallery opening.
Yeah.
And your husband and RVA Paddle Sports saved us with their rafts.
That's what I
for the
remember
shuttling.
is just like Justin going back and forth with
Totally.
groups and me just being like, all right, just kind of
Hanging out.
watching.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think the next day they left on their second Headwaters Down journey.
They did. The
Yeah.
next day they loaded up their sea kayaks
Right.
and put in right up there, and I watched them. As soon as they loaded their gear up, they just started to like sink. I was
Right.
like, they're never gonna make it,
You're
but
like,
they did.
They somehow made it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back, y'all. Or welcome back to you.
Yeah, I
Have
think
you
it's
guys ever
everyone
been here?
else's first time.
Did you?
Yeah, like Airbnb, I think my
Oh, you were one of those groups? Okay. That's very cool. How long ago was that?
gosh, at least 2 or 3.
Oh, okay. Well, then you get to see all the new stuff we've
Yeah.
done. Yeah. We had our big SHARPSFEST, big owners party on Saturday,
Oh, fun.
where we basically just invite whoever we want, and it was catered, and
Oh,
we had
fun.
music and
Yeah.
oysters. It was super fun.
I bet it was beautiful weather too. I mean, it
Oh,
was,
yeah, I mean,
right?
it
On
was,
Saturday.
I mean,
yeah.
it was kind of like today, right? It
Yeah.
was incredible.
While we were waiting to come out, we saw a huge heron.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
So I think this might be the only thing that was the same as
Yeah,
when
I
you were
re-
here.
I remember
the
that.
outhouse was there. We've had a couple of floods. Picnic table had to be rebuilt, but really this is the
Okay.
main.
Wow.
We've got this like bar kind of kitchen area,
So cool.
and then the cabin is the big thing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this I have never seen.
Isn't that cool?
Wow.
Rooftop deck up there. We've got an umbrella for shade.
So you rent out the whole island?
You get the whole island.
Wow.
So yeah, none of this would have been here when you were here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and hold on, I got some swag for you. These every year for SHARPSFEST we do new t-shirts.
Oh,
So I've got
wow.
different sizes, but all the podcast guests have to get.
Love it.
I don't know. Tell me if you think that fits. We can get a different size.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Is that pretty cool?
Greetings
like that
from
classic.
Sharps Island. Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yes, I love that.
Justin will be jealous.
I should have
Sure
brought
of
you
it.
a Poe shirt. Yeah, Justin will be jealous. I'll get you a Poe shirt.
All right. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. All right, we're back on the island today with a very special guest. Maeve Jones is the executive director of the Poe Museum in Shockoe Bottom. Maeve, it's an honor to have you out to Sharps Island.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
It's not your first time, right?
No, it's not. I was here a few years ago with my husband who was shuttling people over in rafts.
Right, we had like it was almost like an art gallery opening kind of event, right?
Yeah, there were paintings and photos up all around. It was really cool.
Yeah, that was super fun. So I have we had years ago, I had a German exchange student live with us. We think of her as our German daughter now. She's visiting. And so last week we went and did the Poe Museum together.
Love
it was actually a really cool way to like show someone who's not from America, Richmond, and this cool thing. And the space itself, I think, is amazing. But one of the things that struck me is for such a, someone we sort of associate with strangeness, there's a lot that's known about. It was like, all right, and then on this day he moved here and he went to New York and he went to Baltimore. How often is it possible to be sort of surprised by is there new information about Poe out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say yes. I'm always surprised. I mean, he only lived for 40 years and except for his death, which was the big mystery, most of his life is really well documented. Just letters, receipts. I mean, he did live in so many cities up and down the East Coast, and he did start to become famous while he was alive. So the amount of Poe biographers that continue to write about Poe always surprises me because sometimes I'm kind of wondering, well, what is there left to say? What don't we know?
So that's a thing that has occurred to you.
Yeah, right? But on the other hand, people are always kind of making new connections between his life and his literature and kind of just parsing out different ways that growing up in Richmond probably affected his horror and things like that. And then what's also really exciting is that people are continuing to find new documentation. So, for example, in March, one of our board members, Richard Copley, just published like an 800-page biography of Poe. Whoa. And it was really this huge moment in the Poe world because the biography was based on these new letters that he had found at an estate sale.
No way.
That were written by, I want to say...
Was he looking for these? Like, did he have an inkling going to this estate sale?
So he apparently bought the letters. They're written by, I think her name is Flora Lapham. And she's descended from a family who knew Poe well. And he never opened the letters for years because he had lots of other things to do.
Poe did.
No, Copley did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he a historian?
He's a historian and a board member and a teacher of English. And a few years ago, he finally was like, all right, let me open these letters. And that's when he realized that they had all these stories about Poe's life and his marriage that no one had ever read before. So, on the one hand, we know so much about Poe, but on the other hand, you don't know what's just in someone's attic.
Yeah, that's really, he must have been, I can only imagine what that moment is like for someone who is steeped in that work.
I know. I mean, it was really incredible. We were actually all in Paris in July for the International Poe and Hawthorne Conference.
Okay.
And everyone there was he was the keynote speaker. Richard Copley was the keynote speaker. Because everyone is just so enthusiastic about Poe still 200 years later. Right. And any new piece of information is just so exciting.
I want to get back to some of that and some of the sort of, I don't know, is Poerphernalia? Is that a term? That's got to be a term.
Yeah, I mean, I think people say Poesa, Poerphernalia.
Poerphernalia is not bad.
There's a lot of,
but you personally, you've been the executive director for what? Closing in on 5 years now?
On 4.
4 years. Closing in on 4 years. Okay. I'm curious about like what you do in the sort of museum world. How have you tried to sort of shape the museum in those 4 years? Like, what's different about it now? What do you want to be different about it?
Yeah. I think for me, when I joined the museum, there was so much already established, right? Like the museum has...
It's 100 years old.
It's 100 years old. It has the largest public Poe collection that's accessible.
When you say collection, like of artifacts?
Artifacts,
like
manuscripts, books, first editions, things like that.
Gotcha.
So the collection was really already there. And then what I wanted to do was really figure out how to bridge that collection with the Richmond community in particular.
Right.
So really community outreach and just starting to find ways to draw Richmonders in and celebrate that Poe really was a Richmond native and that this city really shaped him. So we are doing that in a few ways.
Trying to really hammer home that connection.
Exactly. And like Baltimore definitely does a better job in some ways celebrating Poe.
So this is like one of my like thorns that I want to, you go ahead because I want to get to that.
No, yeah. I mean, like Baltimore has
it's
the Ravens.
Stupid football team.
Yeah, it's the football team, and they also have Poe. He's buried there.
Okay.
So they have the body.
Because of the randomness of him
Dying mysteriously.
there, right.
Yeah. But Poe spent most of his life in Richmond, and kind of our motto that we say is, Baltimore claims Poe, but Poe claimed Richmond. And he once wrote, I'm a Virginian through and through. So he really did identify as a Virginian and as a Richmonder. And so for me, I think that's a really powerful story and not as well known or celebrated, even amongst Richmonders themselves.
Right.
We get a lot of
I agree with that.
natives, right, who come into the museum and they're like, wait a second, I didn't realize Poe grew up here. I didn't know that he was raised here by the Allens right in Chaco.
Right.
So
Which is why his middle name is what it is.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think it's inspiring to students. I think it's just, I think we should celebrate it more.
Yes. I totally agree. And I've always wondered about that because he was born in Boston, because he has gone so many places, right? And he wrote The Raven in New York.
Yes.
Somewhere, right? I feel like
Yeah.
he wrote The Raven in New York. What was his, I'm from Philadelphia, so I'm always curious about like his Philly time.
Yep.
My sister still lives there. She and her 10-year-old son just won a Poe look-alike contest like last Halloween at some bookstore in Philly. Like
That's so fun.
Like, people love Poe everywhere.
Yeah.
But especially in the cities where they can claim a little bit of him.
Yeah.
When was he in Philly?
He was in Philly in his 20s.
Okay.
And he was writing a lot there. So
Right.
Philly claims, well, Baltimore and Philadelphia can claim that he did a lot of his writing while living in those cities. But he spent most of his adolescence in Richmond.
Right.
And he was born in Boston.
Right.
And then he published his first book in Boston, and he actually used a pseudonym, a Bostonian. So it's just so confusing, right? Like he was in Boston, Richmond, Charlottesville, Philly, New York, Baltimore, Boston again.
Honeymoon to Petersburg. They like to always try and grab that. Like haunted. Isn't there like a haunted house down there?
Yep.
That was like his honeymoon place.
He did his honeymoon in Petersburg with Virginia. He was in Sullivan's Island. So yeah, I mean, he was all over the East Coast.
Right.
But he had to be, because he was, a lot of people would argue that he was our nation's first commercially successful writer.
Okay.
So not just author, because he wasn't just writing fiction, he was also writing literary criticism.
Right.
He was a journalist. So to make a living off of
and
your
you get
pen.
that. You guys do a good job with that in the museum.
You. Yeah.
It's sort of the journalist part of what he did.
He was called the Tomahawk Man because he was just constantly criticizing and slashing other people's work.
Oh, interesting.
But to make a living off your pen in the United States, we didn't have the copyright laws that like the United Kingdom had. So he had to chase work up and down the East Coast to make money. And he really never made enough money his whole life.
From a sort of the museum perspective, you're not the VMFA or the Virginia Museum of History and Culture in terms of size, but so what are the challenges you guys face that are different than other museums or even other Poe museums?
Yeah, so we are a team of 11.
Okay.
But when I started a few years ago, we were a team of 5.
Wow.
So we are a small but mighty team.
Right. Well, you've expanded. I mean,
we've expanded, and our attendance has also grown a lot over the past few years. So I think what we're realizing is there is such a sustained interest in Poe and his legacy and his writing and his life.
Right.
And he's so popular, and so we're trying to grow to meet that interest.
Right.
So that's a challenge, but then on the flip side, we also get a lot more freedom as a Poe museum to play, to have fun.
Right.
So like we do our unhappy hours with all our different themes every year. And we have lecture series that are about everything from like Poe biography to a contemporary horror writer who lives in Richmond today,
Right. Who might have been inspired by Poe.
Exactly. Right. So I do think that while it's a challenge to be a small museum trying to meet a huge demand, we also get to have a lot more fun, take a lot more creative approaches to getting different audiences interested. Yeah.
That is, you don't, there's no reason to be sort of the staid institution kind of place.
Exactly. And Richmond is such an amazing city because of its museum, so we're so lucky to have the VMFA and the VMHC. Right. And then I think we kind of also get to have kind of a different approach as a small museum.
Right, fun, a little more gritty.
Yeah.
Like you said, take more chances with your other kind of programming.
Yeah, and just have a sense of humor like Poe did. Yeah, just play around.
When's is Halloween the biggest time of year? When's your visitation the biggest?
Oh yeah, October is our busiest season.
That's so cool.
It's pretty intense. We've had to cap
now
our
Halloween
events.
I feel like might be 2.5 months long, right?
I know. It starts
it's a good thing.
now, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's really incredible. I also think just with pop culture, Wednesday Addams,
Yeah.
or the Fall of the House of Usher show on Netflix.
Right.
When things like that happen, we see spikes in attendance too.
Really?
People come in, like girls with their Wednesday Addams braids.
Really?
And it's so fun.
Oh my God, I gotta tell my daughter that.
Yeah,
That's
you
amazing.
should. And then also just people come in with a huge Poe tattoo. He
Really?
really means a lot to people.
Yeah.
So it definitely spikes around Halloween, but it's really incredible just the amount of people and out-of-towners who make a pilgrimage to the Poe Museum
Really?
all year.
I don't know how many other 200-year-old. I mean, there are authors that do that, right? And there are grave sites in Paris and other places where
Yeah.
people make pilgrimages. But a 200-year-old American author that still inspires that kind of devotion.
Yeah.
How many are there, right?
I mean, so here's an anecdote that I think illustrates that is a few years ago, Michael's Halloween department
right.
had Poe figurines.
Okay.
And there was even a Poe sitting on a toilet reading a newspaper. And we were like,
Tell me you've got one of those.
I do, yeah. But what other author, American or not?
Right, where's the Nathaniel Hawthorne section
Exactly.
in Michael's?
Yeah, so he's not just a literary figure, he's just a pop culture icon at this point. His face is just everywhere.
You know what just occurred to me, and I mean, this I think is kind of genius. What about a Lowe's blow up Poe for Halloween? Now those things are huge,
Yeah.
right? A giant 10-foot cat.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone, makes a huge Poe
I think we should
blow-up.
pitch this.
That'd be fun.
to Lowe's.
Yeah.
It's actually,
Corporate sponsor.
It's actually amazing. I'm really excited about that. Yes, and then they could be a corporate sponsor.
Yeah. That would actually be really great. Thank you for
I'm gonna
that
work
idea.
on that for
Okay.
you. I'm gonna work on
sounds
that. I've got others. Don't
Okay,
worry.
perfect. We'll take it.
I wish I'd known about your talk at the Wilton House back in February. You gave a talk, right, at Wilton
Yep.
House. It was called How the River City Shaped Edgar Allan Poe into the Master of the Macabre, right? Can you give us the thumbnail version? I wasn't there. I wish I was. Tell me about that.
Yeah, thank you for that question.
Because that Richmond shaping Poe, I think, is so fascinating.
Yeah, so when I was at Wilton in February, and they were so nice to invite me, I was thinking about, what does this audience want to hear about? Because they're all Richmond history buffs, right? So for me, I think we talk a lot nowadays about how important your childhood is in
Right.
terms of shaping your personality, your life trajectory, but also your imagination.
Right.
And I think there's also just in the world of literary theory and criticism, there have been a lot of recent thinkers.
Here, hold on a second.
Yeah.
That's good. That's not uncommon during the podcast. America. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. The Wilton House lecture was focused on how Richmond shaped Poe as a writer. And I wanted to really draw the connection between how your childhood shapes your imagination,
Okay.
and particularly when it comes to horror,
Right.
because I think we can all relate to having our first really intense nightmares and anxieties and,
Right.
and those feelings of complete fear as children.
Yeah.
Which
Which is why his bed in your museum is so powerful.
Exactly. So we have Poe's childhood bed in the museum. Poe talked about having nightmares as a child. His worst fear was waking up in a dark bedroom and having someone standing looming over you, which is so I mean, I have
Totally.
that same fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
At Wilton, what I started to think about was most of Poe's horror stories are set in homes and rooms, The Telltale Heart,
Right.
The Mask of the Red Death is room after room. The Cask of Amontillado is cellars and basements. So you get this sense that he was really obsessed with houses and how
Right.
scary the levels of houses are. And
Right.
to me, it's well, that's really interesting because he grew up in Richmond in these houses that were
I mean, the Raven, he makes that room feel so claustrophobic.
Exactly.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, it's like this dude and a bird.
exactly.
You're Jesus.
And they're relatable because he's
Right.
setting them all you can think of your living room, right?
Right,
And
totally.
I think that's why he's such an effective writer is he makes it so mundane but also terrifying.
Right.
So at Wilton, I just really tried to talk about, where in Richmond he lived, what he did in Richmond,
Right.
swim, box, and then what Richmond was like.
boxed too?
He boxed, yeah.
Okay.
And then also aspects of Poe's life that we don't talk about as much.
Right.
The fact that Richmond was the site of the domestic slave trade when Poe was living here, and a huge percentage of Richmond's population were freed or enslaved people of color.
So there was a significant free population.
Yeah,
here
there
too.
was.
Interesting.
And that Poe is cohabitating with enslaved people. So, there's all these lived realities of Poe's life in Richmond that I don't think you can escape from if you want to understand his literature.
That brings me to my prop that I want to show
nice.
you. Check this out. I found this doing research about Sharps Island online. Make sure we get this in the camera. So check this out.
Wow.
This is actually I don't know if you can see this with the shadows. So this is from 1822.
Oh, wow.
So wasn't that the year Poe moved here?
He moved here in 11.
So when he was 3.
Yeah.
Was he still living here in 1822?
Let's see. He would have been 13. So yeah. He right around then. He went to Scotland very briefly as a young adult, but then he came back.
Okay. So this was done by a French painter, and like his name is absurd for me to try and pronounce. It's like Jean-Louis Busqueta de Woisser. It's in the original's in the Virginia Museum of History and Culture.
Okay.
It shows. So this is Mayo Bridge.
Yes.
Going
Okay.
across to Mayo Island, and here's Sharps Island.
Oh my gosh.
This is the first image I can find of the island, and if you look, there's a bridge from Mayo Bridge, like a footbridge, and a cabin on the island from 1822.
That's so cool.
So I've got this in my house because I just love trying to figure out the history of all these islands, because Sharps Island is mentioned for 150 years in primary sources. Right?
Yep.
So the idea that Poe could have easily walked over to Sharps Island, it appears there's people walking on the footbridge.
That's incredible.
And so now, perfect jumping off point to his swim, because he was supposedly swam from Mayo Island, right?
Yes.
So that's right here.
Yep. Oh, so that's incredible.
Isn't this cool?
And the old stone house is in there somewhere, because where the museum is, the old stone house is pre-Revolutionary War.
Really?
So
yeah, that's somewhere down in downtown.
Yeah.
Obviously, the painting is it's over 200 years old.
So amazing.
How much was he documenting? How much was he just trying to give a feel for Richmond?
Yeah.
But I don't feel like he's just making up a cabin or a footbridge. You wouldn't think.
Yeah, 1822 you said.
But I love
That's great.
1822.
Okay.
I mean, and so there's then another artist that comes through Richmond, a Scottish guy in the 1870s who does some lithographs and etchings, and from Mayo, basically where the footbridge would be of the island. But this is the earliest one I can find, and now
so cool.
kind of connecting it to Poe.
Yeah.
He would have been here. I love the idea. But we know so for people who don't know, he did a either 5 or 6 mile swim downstream against the tide.
Yep.
And from what I've read, he left from Mayo Island.
Yes.
Do we know where?
So
what Mayo Island was like at the time?
And thank you. This is one of my favorite stories about Poe.
Okay.
So Poe wrote about this and talked about this a lot.
Right.
To an extent where sometimes you have to wonder if he's exaggerating a little bit.
Right.
But I will say
He was 15 when he did
He was 15 when he did it, and a lot of his schoolmates were there to witness and would go on to say that, yes.
He made sure people were there to corroborate,
exactly.
right? From what I've read.
And my favorite documentation of it is actually kind of Poe being snarky about a different swimmer who had passed away. So, when Poe was a journalist or editing a literary magazine, someone who'd swum the English Channel had passed away. And so someone had written an obituary calling him one of the greatest swimmers of our time.
Right.
So then Poe, just being typical Poe, has to write this thing saying, okay, sure, that's great, but it doesn't come close to what Edgar Allan Poe did, talking about himself when he was 15 in Richmond. And what he says is he swam from Ludlam's Wharf, which, as far as I can tell, is right around here, the Mayo Bridge, down to Warwick.
But that wharf is on the Mayo Island area?
Yes, that's
it wasn't on the south side. It was on on Mayo Island.
Yes.
Okay.
So took out from, as far as I can tell, is from the north side of the river. And then swam downstream, he says 6.5 miles to a place at Warwick.
Yeah, I saw Warwick and I didn't know what that was.
I found it's kind of down near the airport.
There are references to this place.
Yes, yeah. He says he was swimming against a tide of 3 miles an hour. So he kind of said he was swimming upstream, but that's not true. Downstream against
the tide is the thing.
And
I know it.
Apparently took him 7 hours of swimming.
Right.
It was this huge feat of athleticism.
Right.
He had his schoolmates watching him.
Right.
He was a really athletic and outgoing and competitive young adult.
Physically active dude.
Physically active. Apparently he had swimming holes, up in the city that he loved to go to.
Right.
And I really love that story for two reasons. First, because it just shows that Poe had an ego, he wanted to brag, he wanted to talk about himself.
Right.
And then also, I think it kind of pushes back against this idea we have of Poe as like this sickly, pale,
He looks pallid
indoor, shy, morose goth kid.
Right.
I mean, I think he had all those things in him, but he was also just like a Richmonder who loved the river and an outdoorsman.
I want to do a little bit more on the swim because I feel like it is like one of the most underrated sort of like Poe factoids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people, the average person doesn't know about that, and it's the coolest, like, in my mind, the coolest like Richmond Poe factoid.
Yeah.
So he swims. So here's where we are, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm looking at Mayo Island. Mm-hmm. You're looking at Mayo Island. He probably swam from 100 yards down from where we are, downstream, and then how do you get back?
I think he just took out down. That's a good question. I never thought about if he just trudged back up,
right? Like
or if he
someone
had
caught a ride.
Yeah, I mean,
it was Uber at the day. Right?
I've
like
actually never thought of that.
Okay.
How it ended, how he got out of the river.
There's no way he swam back.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of picture him doing it and then getting out of the river and being like, okay, now I have to walk all the way back.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think what's amazing about it is, first of all, just trying to drive home that Richmond connection. I think if you've lived in Richmond for long enough, I've only lived here for like 5 years. The river's become such a huge part of my life.
Right.
So just knowing that Poe loved the James River made me feel so much closer to him.
Right.
Like, oh wow, I love the James River. And
think about the challenges we have at the river now, whether it's like upstream, agriculture and runoff, sewage. We've had issues with pipes in the James, all that. Like, was it cleaner in some ways or dirtier in some ways? I mean, it was an industrial, that's where everybody just dumped their stuff.
Yeah, no, so I'll admit I don't know too much about the actual what state of it, but I assume that it was pretty disgusting in the city.
It's not like swimming the James now, right?
No, so, and Richmond at the time was a huge city because it was the center of domestic trade for so many different goods.
He would have done the swim 1824, right? You said he was 15.
He was 15, so
he was born in 1809?
1809, so 1824.
Okay.
So, I mean, Richmond was a bustling city. His father, John Allan, was a merchant.
That was his adopted father,
Adopted
right?
father. Well, technically never adopted officially, which
Okay.
was a big point of contention.
Oh, interesting. Right, because they had a falling out, right?
They did, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there were also boats leaving from Richmond all the time. That's how Poe left the city and got to Baltimore.
Oh, really? When he left on a boat?
Yeah.
He didn't take 95?
No, he didn't take 95. He took a boat, steamboat. So yeah, I mean, the river, I guess, was just super used.
Right.
Like, it was just boats coming in and out.
So he was like, so whatever. He survived the swim.
Yeah.
Physically, he didn't get some sort of flesh-eating
He
bacteria.
didn't.
You can imagine, right? It's not like there are wastewater treatment plants. That's where everyone's feces went.
I know.
Like,
and then to think of him swimming with all these barges too, right?
Right.
So like, was he hugging the shore?
Right.
Were his friends like screaming?
And how did they watch? They were in boats, right? Didn't they go along in boats?
I think one of his friends who tells the story was in a boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm assuming he had some kind of safety, but knowing Poe, someone said, you can't do this, and he was like, well, watch. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I have a 15-year-old. The idea of him swimming 5-6 miles downstream is crazy. Like,
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's an incredible story, and he was really well liked. He was a popular student. He was very athletic.
As a sort of high school age kid.
As a high school age kid, into college, and then his time at West Point, he was like writing limericks for other students.
Did he go to UVA first or West Point first?
UVA first,
right.
Ill-fatedly.
Right.
Only had, I think, $110 for tuition.
Okay.
So couldn't even afford more than a semester.
Okay.
So that's when he started gambling. And then he got kicked out of UVA in a lot of debt. And then he went to Boston, and then he was in West Point. And then he did really well there too. Like by all accounts, he was charismatic, he's popular.
Right.
His superiors really liked him. But he had this idea of himself as like a romantic hero.
Okay.
And actually, a lot of people think the reason he swam the James was because his idol was Lord Byron.
Okay.
And Lord Byron is this famous romantic poet who served in the Greek Civil War
Right.
and swam the Hellespont in Greece.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I think he was also trying to be like his hero, Lord Byron.
He wanted that story associated with him.
Exactly.
That's super cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of also relatable, like a teenager doing something that their hero did.
Right.
Yeah.
And then now they would have, put it on TikTok. And,
Exactly.
And would have turned it into a meme.
Yeah, get ready with me to swim the James.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I just had another amazing brainstorm. Like a Poe, what about the Poe swim? The Poe Museum and Sharps Island, like swim event.
I would love to do that.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, there's got to be, I know, I used to be the outdoors writer for the Times-Dispatch. I wrote about long distance swimmers in the James and like people from here who would, whatever, swim around Manhattan and do the English Channel. There are people here that would do this.
So
Wouldn't that be cool?
I think it would be super cool. Our curator wants to do some version of it in like a canoe.
Right.
I think if we had some kind of Poe Cup, it would be so cool.
The Poe Cup, but it's got to be a swim.
Yeah, it has to be a swim.
We could do a canoe event also.
Yeah.
We've got to do a swim.
I think I actually talked to Paul about it when I was here
really?
years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, if there's a way we could do this where the museum isn't going to be liable for anything,
Right.
we would be
Well,
definitely
look,
interested.
people put on events like this, and there's a way to protect everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, what a cool, we could launch from Sharps Island.
That would be amazing.
You're literally, you could probably see what was Ludlam's Wharf from here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wonder how long it would take. I mean, it'd be like half a day at least,
yes,
right?
I mean, it would, and we could get it, we could do it with a tide. I mean, we could make it faster by doing it an outgoing tide.
That's true.
Instead of his supposed incoming tide.
Yeah.
But it'd be worth workshopping.
I
right?
would love that.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. I mean, I just would love to get, like I said, Poe out in Richmond.
Yes.
On the river. Poe loved all of this stuff.
Right, and that's the thing I think would be so cool about it is talk about a brand new way to connect people to Poe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really.
They don't think of him as that guy.
Uh-uh.
So, okay. We're
all right, let's do it.
We're working on that. All right, we're doing a Poe swim.
Yeah.
It feels like it has to happen. I showed you that painting before, and I'm just I love the idea of Poe-paraphernalia, things associated with Poe, and I think the museum, doesn't the museum have the book that The Raven was first published in?
Yep.
Is that the original?
So
How close to the first Raven printing is that?
So we have his receipt for the Raven
Okay.
because it was published in a journal.
Right.
So I guess there would have been a lot of first copies technically.
Yeah, there was no one first copy.
Yeah, but we
Okay.
have a lot of those early editions, and then
Right.
his receipt for $15.
So you do have one of the first printings. I remember seeing it
Yep,
there.
we do.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we have, first editions of the Southern Literary Messenger where he worked in Richmond.
Right.
We have his
desk.
desks.
Right,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
It's really incredible. And we have a lot of his handwriting too, his notes from adolescence, about Shakespeare and Milton. So it's really
That's
cool
cool.
to see him developing as an artist.
But I'm curious, seeing that stuff and thinking about, what is there one piece and one artifact out there that you'd be like, oh man, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
If I gave you $5 million, we could make a bunch of money on this swim. What would you spend it on
So
for the museum?
Easy. It would be a Tamerlane.
Okay.
So
what is that?
Tamerlane is the first collection of poems. So Tamerlane is an epic poem.
Okay.
And the first thing that, wait,
Yeah, hold on. Get him.
I don't know if it really matters or.
That's a hospital one.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
oh yeah,
that's
Pegasus
going
or.
leaving VCU or going to get someone.
Yeah.
All right, so one Poe-paraphernalia.
So
piece.
it would be Tamerlane.
Okay.
Tamerlane and Other Poems is the first thing that Poe published.
Okay.
I think he was 18 or 19, and he published it under his pen name, a Bostonian.
Okay.
But
Published
it's
it in Boston.
in Boston.
Okay.
He publishes it as a Bostonian, and there are only a few first edition copies out there.
Wow.
There was a copy at the University of Virginia that was stolen in the 70s.
No way.
There's a few copies in public.
They never caught the person.
Never caught the person. They
And that copy never surfaced.
never resurfaced.
Okay.
There's
Wow.
a few in private collections.
Okay.
I think there's one at the Pratt Library,
Where's that?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Got
Yeah.
it.
But I would love to have a Tamerlane at the Poe
The
Museum.
first thing he
The first thing he published.
That's super cool. What is your I don't know, what's your favorite artifact that you guys have?
For me, it's definitely his pocket watch
Okay.
that's inscribed with his name.
That's cool.
That was only given to us a few years ago.
Right.
And I love it because it really works for students. In The Telltale Heart, which most students have read,
Right.
he talks about the beating of the heart sounds
Right.
like the ticking of a watch enveloped
Yeah,
in
that
cotton.
watch brings it home.
And then we have the watch, then we'll tell students this is the watch that Poe had on him in his pocket when he wrote The Telltale Heart.
Right, right.
And then they all go, oh.
Right, because
So
they've
it's-
just read it.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
So I
That's
think
super
the
cool.
pocket watch is my favorite.
What's the sort of, I don't know, most fun or strangest Poe-related question you get? I mean, you must, does your job allow you to deal with the public often?
Yeah. I like to go down a few times and just interact with people throughout the day, get
Ask
away
them.
from my desk.
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll lead a tour of high school students. I love it when teenagers in particular have really out there theories about Poe's death.
Oh, God. Yeah, you guys have that list.
Yeah, we have a
There's
list
been
of
a lot
all
of
the
theories over the years.
Everyone wants to know how he died, so everyone will ask, how do you think he died? But we'll have kids on field trips be like, well, I think it was aliens. I think
Right.
he's still alive,
Right,
things
right.
like that. People ask a lot about, like, do you think Poe was haunted? Do you think he was possessed? Do you think he's still
Right.
here as a ghost? So there's
right.
a lot of the supernatural
Right.
surrounding Poe that I also love. Just
Right.
fun, yeah.
That's cool. I wanted to ask you about the museum building itself, because it really is actually a neat, set aside the Poe aspect.
Yeah.
Well, first I wanted to ask you, what was his connection to that building? Did he have a connection to that spot?
So that's a great question. So the old stone house is kind of the centerpiece of the Poe
Let's
Museum.
tell everyone what the address is.
Yeah, 1914 East Main Street.
Right on Main Street in
Right
Shaka
on Main, right there with all the apartment buildings around it.
Yeah.
So the old stone house dates from approximately the 1740s or 50s.
Wow.
So it's one of the few standing buildings in Richmond that predate the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
So at least, in that area, it's the old stone house and
And is
St.
that
John's.
the house? Which one's the old stone house? Is that where the gift shop is, or is that the next?
That's the
beginning,
next one.
The
So
beginning of the tour.
Yeah, exactly.
The museum itself.
So that's the only building that was standing
Okay.
when Poe was around.
Got it.
And he didn't ever live there, but we do know that he at least visited a few times.
Okay.
And the most exciting connection is in, I guess it was 1824, so Poe was 15. The General Marquis de Lafayette did his farewell tour of the United States. And he stopped at the old stone house when he did his parade
No
through
way.
Richmond. And Poe was a member of the Junior Guard.
Okay.
So he was standing at attention as a teenager in front
As
of the
the
old
Marquis de
stone
Lafayette?
house. Yeah. And
That
apparently
is
he
so cool.
accompanied Lafayette up to the Capitol area.
Does he write about this at all?
He didn't, but it's in newspapers.
Right.
And so
That is
that's
so
the
cool.
story. So while he didn't ever really live there, he lived nearby. He lived
Right.
at 13th and Main,
Right.
so near Tobacco Alley.
Yeah.
So
Is
he-
that still, that building's not? That's
no.
Yeah.
So none of the buildings none of the homes he lived in stand,
Right.
which is a real shame, but we have pieces. Like we have the staircase
Right.
from one of his homes
Okay.
built into one of our buildings.
Right.
And we've saved like bricks, wood, things like
Is there
that.
a mantle? Isn't there a mantle in there?
Mantles,
Yeah.
his bed, of course.
Right.
So there's been a real effort by Richmonders to save as much as they can.
Right. I love those moments in history though, where it's like this person that he's from another section of American history, the Marquis de Lafayette, and this guy, the young Edgar Allan Poe. Like the idea of them kind of passing like ships in the night is
I
so
know.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you think about it, like I think of Poe as a lot later than the Revolution, but he really
Right.
wasn't. You know,
Right.
he was born in 1809.
Right.
So
All
the
those guys are still alive.
Exactly. The country was still so young. The Marquis was still alive.
Right.
Jefferson was still living at Monticello when Poe went to UVA. Like,
Right.
they are all living
That's
in the
cool.
same time. They're two different generations, but
Right.
yeah.
I love that.
Uh-huh.
All right, you ready for some final questions?
Yeah.
That was the serious stuff. This is fun now.
Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. So we didn't. I mean, I don't know how fun it's going to be, but whatever. Poe. I don't know how much people know about the romantic Poe. I mean, he was quite a romantic.
Oh, yeah.
What would you rather do? Marry a 13-year-old or your cousin?
Oh my gosh, cousin.
Cousin, because he did both.
I know. Yeah, it's really tricky to talk about that with high
Oh, I
schoolers.
bet. Yeah, you're right.
We get a lot of questions about that. You know,
Okay.
we try to just be as honest as we can. You know, we tell the facts that we know.
Here's the context of the times.
Yeah, and you know,
Which is hard to explain.
It's hard to explain, and we know even they knew it was a little unheard of. Like, they lied about her age on their marriage certificate.
So they were trying to hide aspects of it.
They were, and a lot of scholars argue that he really wanted to take care of his aunt and cousin financially.
Right.
A lot of scholars argue
Her name was Virginia Clem. That
Virginia
was his.
Clem.
Okay. Did
Yeah.
they have children?
No, they
No
did
children.
not. And
Poe produced no children.
no children.
Okay.
She died of tuberculosis at 24.
Okay.
So it was she was sick for a long time. They called each other like brother and sister in letters.
Interesting.
A lot of scholars have a lot of different opinions, but I feel like, our job as a museum is just to say, here's what we know, here's
Right.
what we don't know.
Right.
And that's all we
Right,
can
right,
say.
right.
I don't want to defend or be
Or
on the
not.
offense, right?
Yes.
It's like,
right.
just present the facts.
Here's the facts were. Let the
Yeah.
scholars debate it.
Yeah.
What trait did Poe have that you wish you had? Maybe a personality characteristic. I don't know.
I would say his commitment to writing. Like,
Okay.
he really committed to his creative output.
Okay.
He wrote so much throughout his 40 years.
Interesting.
And he just had like a real belief in his art.
Right.
Sometimes to the point of being kind of egotistic, but
Right.
I think you have to be to a certain
Right.
extent to succeed.
He
and-
was like an original fake it till you make it.
exactly
kinda guy,
Yeah,
right.
he just had a lot of self-confidence.
Right.
He was like, he would read something and be like, okay, I think I could write that and better.
Right.
And then he would. So
Right.
yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like most of those people nobody likes. But
Yeah.
when you become Edgar Allan Poe, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So it worked out for him.
yeah, it worked out for him. All right, most overlooked Poe gem, like of his.
We just read the 1002nd Tale of Scheherazade
Okay.
by Poe, and it's
He
kinda-
wrote that?
He wrote
That's
it.
what it was called.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's kind of a satirical.
You say we. Who's we?
Oh, the Poe staff.
Okay.
We do a Poe reading every month.
Okay.
And we try to read things that we're not as used to, his more overlooked pieces, and
Right,
most
right.
of them are like satire, comedy.
Right.
He's just making fun of what other people are writing,
Right.
what the newspapers are saying. And it's just not what you expect from Poe. It's
Right.
not horror, it's not a mystery, it's just kind of
Okay.
silly. Yeah.
So I bought a book from your gift shop the other day, and I had never read The City in the Sea, and I
Oh,
love that.
beautiful,
That's my
yeah.
favorite overlook. Like,
Oh, good.
Overlooked. It's in a book.
Yeah.
But like nobody puts that on a list of things
for sure.
that like Poe wrote.
No, I mean, I think in school you're reading The Telltale Heart and the Raven.
Right.
Maybe Annabelle Lee and
Right.
like The Mask of the Red
Yeah, my
Death.
son read that for summer reading.
Yeah.
Mask, Pit and the Pendulum.
Pit and the
hasn't-
Pendulum,
I'm
yeah.
trying to think of others that.
Cask of Amontillado.
Right. Annabelle Lee, which was the name of a boat docked in Richmond for years,
Oh,
right?
great. Yeah, yeah.
There was that paddle. There was like a paddle wheel boat. There was like a restaurant. It was
Oh,
called the
okay.
Annabelle Lee.
There's an Annabelle Lee in Baltimore too, like a tavern.
Baltimore.
I know.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
What do you guys? Is there a good rivalry? Like you said, you went to like Paris with all the Poe people. Is it always in Paris?
No, it moves around, which is super fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We get
Have we ever
along.
hosted?
So we're hosting in 2028, which we're really excited
You started
about.
preparing for that.
No, but it's really the Poe Studies Association hosts, like they put it on. So
put-
we're just gonna help.
You're
We don't have
you're
to.
helping to.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was in Paris. Is there rivalries?
I would say
Friendly?
we work really closely with Baltimore,
Okay.
and we have like a faux rivalry, but
Yeah,
we
yeah.
collaborate a lot, and we
Right.
love them. And they host the International Poe Festival every October, and we all go. And
Okay.
So yeah, it's fun.
Okay. I don't love that they do that every year. How do we get like our own version? Of
I
something
know.
Like that?
We
the
really
swim
do.
could be that thing.
The swim, and we've been trying to make Poe's birthday every year a bigger and bigger deal. That's in January.
Okay.
So we do a
January what?
19.
Okay.
So it's always the Saturday closest to the 19th,
Okay.
and we have our annual birthday bash, and we're trying to make that more and more of a big deal.
I think I told you my daughter won a Poe lookalike. My sister and her son won a lookalike competition in Philly on his birthday.
That's so fun.
I'm gonna get her down here.
Yes, yeah.
For his birthday.
That'd be really fun.
So what do you guys do for his birthday?
We do, it's kind of like an unhappy hour.
Yeah.
We do it in the garden. We have bands, breweries, different programs happening.
Okay.
Last year it was his sweet 216th, so we had a Poe impersonator, and he blew out candles.
I was
going to
ask, do you have like a go-to impersonator?
We do. There's a few. There's actually
some good ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of Poe impersonators who do a really good job.
Okay.
So I know there was a look-alike contest a few years ago at the museum, so maybe we should do that again.
We should do that. Yeah, and I mean, you can't just slap on a mustache.
Oh no.
And call it Poe. You gotta
commit.
Right. You gotta throw the raven on your shoulder. And
yeah. Pale and
get really pale.
Yeah.
All right. This is always a fun exercise for me. Like the Mount Rushmore of Richmond. Poe is on the Mount Rushmore of Richmond. Who else is on there with him?
That's a good question. Oh
and like, you know, it doesn't have to be just a Richmonder, but it can't just be, you know, the Marquis de Lafayette passing through, right? Like, we talk about George Washington and that canal, like he stopped to have lunch. I don't think we can put George Washington on the Mount Rushmore.
I like this one. All right, so Poe.
Right.
I guess Arthur Ashe. I'd put Arthur Ashe on there.
Good call.
Now I'm trying to think of like someone more recent.
I got to work on this too, because it's always changing. Arthur Ashe, Edgar Allan Poe.
Maybe you could say that like today's legacy in terms of like poetry and songwriting, you could put Lucy Dacus on there.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Poe to Lucy Dacus could be a fun thing to track.
Yes.
She writes kind of like emo music.
Oh yeah. That's a great one.
That could be fun.
Yeah, like I'm thinking of trying to make me think of like bands and other like musically, she's a really good one.
Yeah.
All right.
Gwar.
Oh yeah, Gwar.
Gwar, yeah.
Yes, can you imagine that?
Gwar and Poe, there's definitely a lot there.
That makes me think I need to get someone from Gwar and Lucy Dacus on this podcast.
Yeah. We need to get either or both of them at the Poe Museum to play in on Happy Hour.
Oh my God, that's genius.
I think Gwar has played at the Poe before.
That makes sense.
Yeah. They're definitely working in Poe's tradition.
Gwar, Arthur Ashe. Yeah, this is an exciting Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on this one too. Wonder if we could do like, you know, we've got public art here at Sharps Island. Like, that could be the next. That could be our next, competition.
Just to say too, and I'm gonna forget his name till I talk to Emma, but we just did a program for teachers at Monumental Church.
Right.
And we were talking about one of the heroes of the Richmond theater fire, who was a freed black man who saved all these people from the theater fire.
Yep.
And I know they're really trying to celebrate him, so there's a Richmond hero.
Okay.
But I would have to ask Emma what his name is. I think it's Charles.
Have you read The House is on Fire?
Yes. So Rachel Beanland was one of our lecturers.
Nice. I've got to get her out here. I coached her daughter in softball. I know her
She's awesome. Yeah. We do our Telltale Talks is what they're called.
Nice.
And we try to have like...
And she talked about the theater fire and all that?
Yeah.
And that happened, he wouldn't have been here, right? Was that 1811? What year was that?
So he was here, and his mother was, she wasn't performing when the fire happened, but that was her troupe, and she had passed away right before that.
Oh, wow.
So he had been adopted by the Allan family.
Okay.
And then the theater fire happened. But then now at Monumental Church, there's an Allan family pew because that's where they went to church.
Okay.
So.
The Monumental Church was built where? Is that right next to or built on top of the?
Built on top of a mass
theater.
grave, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's cool that she did that. All right. Well, congratulations. You made it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's
this
awesome.
is so
This
fun.
has been great.
So beautiful out here.